Michael Hunter Thompson. I'm a local photographer and the creator of the project Fade to Blue. Fade to Blue is complicated to explain because there's so many layers and levels to it. Essentially, it's a photography project at its base. So Fade to Blue is documenting Allegheny High School on Sedgwick Street, which actually started in 1925 and went to 2018. And Sedgwick Street building sat vacant and it was awaiting its fate, where we weren't sure if it was going to be demolished, we weren't sure if it was going to be refurbished or changed in any way and used for future use. So the inspiration for Fade to Blue really came about whenever I was up at the high school with my daughters. And what happened was I took my daughters around the building because I had heard that it had been vandalized and there was break-ins and whatnot. So I was extremely curious as to what the inside of the building looked at the time. So we went to the side of the building where the gym was, and we went up to the entrance and I looked into the window. I saw the condition of the gym, which was really kind of depressing looking, but in my photography brain, but it just had this look about it that I knew was going to make interesting photographs. And the news came out definitively, the building's coming down. And when that news came out is when I thought to myself, ooh, well, if anything's going to happen inside the building as far as a project, photography project I'm involved with, it has to happen now. As soon as I got permission to get inside the building from Jake Shade and the county, I got inside the building and was able to scout out locations throughout the building. Where could I take these photos? Where would be the most impactful locations throughout the building to set up these photos? So I had the idea, what if the figures in these images were actually alumni and former staff? That would be the most impactful way to get these people involved and get them inside the building one more time, one last time. And I put it out on Facebook. Would anybody be interested in doing this photo project with me? And it blew up. I think people were really nostalgic for the time that they're in high school for that part of their life. You're going from a kid to a young adult. You know, you grew up with these people your whole life and now you're finally getting into like adulthood while you're inside this building every single day. So you're nostalgic for, all the stories and experiences that happened during that 4-year span. People miss the connections.
When I first heard about Mr. Thompson doing the Fade to Blue project, I contacted him and I told him that for some years prior, I had taken hundreds of photographs of the interior of Allegheny High School, knowing that it was going to be razed, and I wanted to document that, not just the gyms and the classrooms, but the observatory that a lot of people had never seen. He was not so much interested in that, but he was going to document the school still standing with the various alumni and classmates and reflecting their memories and the locations in the school.
People were just like, yes, please, please, how do we get involved? How do I get involved? Basically put things together on Facebook where you signed up for everything, and that's how that all worked out. So my idea was, why don't I get some of my photography friends to come and basically document the behind the scenes of all the photo shoots.
I was involved with Fade to Blue as a support for Michael Thompson. I was there at most every shoot that he had, and I took pictures of Michael as he was taking pictures of all the other photos at the event. I tried to capture what it was like to be around Michael during the photo shoot. It was quite an interesting time, and it was nice for me personally to go back to the school and see it before it was torn down.
So I had about 4 photo shoots per day. Each one was spread out over an hour. So people would show up and they would sign this, I had roster sheets in this binder. And that was the way I could keep track of everyone, what year they graduated, what was their name. And that's how I kept track of everybody that was in each photograph. So I interviewed 100 people for the book. 500 people participated in the photo project. Everybody wanted a keepsake. There was multiple times throughout the photo shoots when people were like, is this going to be a book? But It was obvious that during the whole process of getting the photos, people were sharing stories. Not just with me, but they were sharing stories with each other. And it was a part of the process of the project. I had 500 people participate in the photos. Why don't I go back and interview as many people as possible and have their picture, and then I'd have their interview. Just ask them questions like, tell me about your Allegheny experience. And a lot of people just had a lot of information that they just wanted to share with me. So I thought to myself, well, I could just do all the photos in a book and have a nice little picture album, and that would be a great little keepsake. So it became clear that these stories needed to be shared.
My Fade to Blue story, you know, I became aware of Michael Hunter Thompson, told him about the photographs I had, volunteered to do some work inside the school with him to collect the artifacts. Mike asked me if I would be interviewed for the Fade to Blue book. I was honored to be asked. He eventually I was first on the list of people of the interviews. But I also thought that as an opportunity. You know, I graduated from Allegheny High School in 1967. And my father, Joseph Feldstein, was in the very first graduating class from Allegheny High School in 1927. And I saw this as a chance to sort of mention my dad, memorialize him as it relates to Allegheny High School. Mike interviewed me, and I relayed some of my own personal experiences and things like this, some joking around, the ups and downs. And that was my experience with the Fade to Blue book, per se.
As part of my Fade to Blue story, I told the story of my 5 generations at Allegheny. My father and my uncle went there. My father graduated in 1940. His children, my cousin Sam and my brother, graduated in 1969. And I graduated in 72. My cousin Amy graduated in 73. You know, we had teachers at Allegheny that my father had, and my children had teachers that I had. And it's kind of unique to a small town. I was also in the band, and we marched at homecoming. And during our homecoming, it snowed, a huge amount of snow. Of course, we weren't going to cancel the game. Everybody went up to the stadium and shoveled snow, and we cleared the stadium. And as a band, we marched through the mud of the snow. It was just, it brought back a lot of great memories to be at the school during Fade to Blue and think of all those things.
So when the dust settled and, you know, the book finally came out, I had the exhibition at the Allegheny Arts Council where I had all the photos, I had all the artifacts, and a lot of people came to town to enjoy that. The awards have almost all been historical in nature. The Fade to Blue book is essentially a unique oral history book of sorts. What I ended up getting was a lot of recognition from the state. So I got a citation from Governor Larry Hogan, senators, congressmen, General Assembly. Ruth Davis Rogers, the historical preservation person from the city, ended up nominating Fade to Blue for the Maryland Historical Trust annual awards. And she reached out to me and wanted as much information about the project as possible because she caught wind of how important this project was for people in the community. And so she nominated me, and I actually ended up winning this Maryland Historical Trust Award, which was for community excellence.
Historic places which are special and unique due to the buildings and stories that make up the heart of the community. As part of Preservation Month 2023, the Maryland Historical Trust has announced awards for noteworthy accomplishments in the preservation field, recognizing outstanding education, restoration, and revitalization projects, as well as organizational and individual leadership. He was selected for his oral history Fade to Blue book, which grew into a much larger project and was selected for the Maryland Historical Trust Excellent in Community Engagement Award.
Fade to Blue really has made a huge impact on my life because, first of all, I don't look at photography the same way. I think about the stories. I think about, okay, this is an image. You're looking at a picture. But now I want to know more about what's in the picture. You know, I have this like historical curiosity now and personal, I want to know about the people that are in the pictures now, not just the images.
The legacy it's going to leave, Fade to Blue, the book, to preserve and document that stuff for future generations so it's not lost or forgotten. That's the legacy of it.
it excited people, you know, to put some life into this building that everyone had enjoyed for generations.
The kids in the hall, the kids you knew, maybe the kids you hardly even spoke with, but now years later, you see them. That's what hits people, not the building, it's the people.
So Fade to Blue, to me, has meant many different things. It was an opportunity to get inside the school one last time. The way I think about it now is all the connections I made. I'll remember going back and interviewing those 100 people, setting up the interviews. What did we do during the interview? What kind of stories did they tell? Those kind of things just sink into you. That was a once-in-a-lifetime kind of opportunity and project that, looking back on it, it'll be something I cherish. It'll never leave me. My family will always look at Allegheny through the lens of Fade to Blue, I think. And that's something special to me. It'll be a part of my legacy.